Follow him over on Twitter at Ridiculous Hat. The Angry Chicken is a production of A Move TV.
Time's up. Let's do this.
Legendary.
You Mr. Roxas. You smell like a leopard gnome. I knew it. A podcast about Hearthstone and Battlegrounds. This is The Angry Chicken.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Angry Chicken. I'm your host, Jocelyn, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Ridiculous Hat. Hello, Hat. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. How are you, other two people on this show?
Speaking of, welcome back. Our very special guest tonight, returning for the first time in months. It is Mr. Garrett Weinzerbull, or however you say his name. I can't remember because it's been gone so long.
I cannot express in words how freaking weird it is to have all of what just happened happen without me pushing buttons.
Right?
That's very strange.
Well, welcome back.
We've been working on automation since you've been gone. It all just happens by itself now.
See, Hat just thinks it happens by itself because he doesn't push buttons, so it's all magic.
I played the bumper.
That's true. That's true. You did.
You're ruining my bit.
He plays the bumper. You run the. What has happened when I left? This show notes or some freaking text called Calibri? What is this rounded sans serif I'm looking at?
Everything's different. It's ridiculously crazy, except for like literally everything else we do at the show. But I love the font. Honestly, Hat changed the font, and I had the same reaction. I opened the template. I was like, "What is happening?"
Calibri should die in a fire. I don't hate the pips for bullets though. This is a nice change. These are attractive. These are cute. They're all right.
You just have to recalibrate.
Hold on, I feel naked. I need to add a bullet at the top and put it in Garrett blue.
There you go.
I just need. Okay. All right.
Now we're set.
There's enough. That's the same that I can now function as a podcast guest.
Excellent. Well, before we get into this week's news, because we have a lot of stuff to talk about, obviously March of the Lich King has launched. So we have all had a chance to play Death Knights now. Things are crazy. But before we get into all of that, we wanted to take a moment and thank our patrons over at patreon.com/tack. We are supported by our epic patrons over there. And if you want to become a TAC patron, you get access to our super awesome Discord server. So again, that's patreon.com/tack. You can be just like Thrillho, who went in and supported us this week. I thought I was going to be able to get through it all super profesh and everything. And then, and Hat has informed me that it is a deep cut Simpsons reference. But yeah, Thrillho, thank you so much for the support.
I had to do Thrillho etymology before the show.
I was just worried I was going to insult someone, but anyways, it's a Simpsons reference, so go look it up. Thank you so much for supporting us over at patreon.com/tack. So let's get right into some Hearthstone news this week.
Good news, everyone.
I am the best in pack openings ever. That's it. That's the news.
It's true.
So what you're telling me is nothing's changed. Nothing's changed in the time that I've been gone.
Pretty much, basically, except for this, honestly, is the most ridiculous Joss luck I have ever had. So I opened about the same amount of packs as I normally open, but I got the entire set. The whole thing. Like, all 27 legendaries. I ended up with 8 signatures. 4 of those were from just my natural, like, normal packs, which is supposed to be ridiculously, like, it's supposed to be like 1 in 181 or something, and I got 4 in 200. Like, it just, I mean, even I am surprised by my Joss luck, and I'm going to take this opportunity almost 500 episodes in to brag.
Almost 500 episodes in.
Yeah. Did I say 400?
This is 491.
Oh. Yeah. Anyways, many episodes later. Yeah, it was the craziest pack opening I've ever done. About halfway through, I said to Hat, I was like, I should have streamed this. This is ridiculous.
Yes, that's gross. Did you? I'm starting to. There's no way. There's no way you could have known unless this is an inside job. I'm starting to feel like I got invited on just to suffer through more Joss luck. It's the only reason I'm here is to bear witness to this disgusting display.
Yeah, it was. So I ended up, after all my pack openings, and Hat actually called it, said that I was going to have all the legendaries and not all the epics, which is what happened. I had 10 cards I had to craft in the end, all epics. But I was only actually missing like 2 epics completely. So yeah.
My legendary pull was not great, but I did get a golden Astalor, and it's the first time I've ever gotten a golden of a good legendary neutral.
Nice.
So I was very excited about that, but I'm not excited anymore because I've heard your story. So thank you for that, Jocelyn.
I mean, I only got a couple of golden legendaries.
Yeah, you were too busy with all the signatures over there, but you got 8.
Yeah.
Even though some listeners will be out there saying, "Oh, that's a downgrade." Listen, so if you're the listener and you're complaining about the signatures, would you not take 8 signatures, listener? I bet you would. I would.
I'm not a huge fan of the color wash.
I don't mind the color wash, and I like the alternate art. I'm just not a fan of the frame. The frame is the issue for me on both the signature cards and the Arthas hero portrait. I think we talked about it when we were theory crafting Hat, I think.
I have other issues with the Arthas hero portrait, but we're not going to talk about that.
We might talk about that. We have a graphic designer on the show, and there's a lot of cosmetic stuff.
Are you familiar with the term off model? Because when I look at that 3D Arthas, that's the word that enters my brain.
I'm not,
off
so
model?
this is an opportunity to explain it.
In cartoons, there's usually style guides for characters in the cartoon to keep them quote unquote on model. And off model would be like, oh, the eyes are like too far apart or smaller than they should be or larger than they should be or the ears are at a different height kind of a thing. Arthas just looks off model. That 3D Arthas. I don't know what's going on there, but a little bit like I ordered my Arthas from wish.com.
I don't feel that bad about his hero portrait. I feel
and then I went through the prologue. Which I didn't realize they were going to make us play, which I was very impatient about. But I went through my prologue, and I was the wonderful recipient of the out of order pips on a map.
Yeah,
I don't know
me
if
too.
either of you got hit by that, but yeah, I was just like, this seems strange.
I went into the first fight, and it was like, now that Mal'Ganis has been dispatched, I was like, has he?
Yeah. The Sylvanas portrait that they snuck in there and we can't buy yet is freaking awesome looking.
Yeah.
Thing looks real good. And,
I agree.
I want to buy that. I imagine that we will be able to buy that, and I'm going to do it when they let us.
Yeah, I don't care how I get it, buy it, earn it, whatever. I'm gonna get that one because I had same thing. Like whenever I see Sylvanas in her like high elven form versus her like undead banshee queen form, I'm all about that.
I don't understand why they keep calling her high elf when her pants are so low. She's clearly a low rise elf.
You should write the WoW team and tell them that. Like, I'd like to correct your lore.
The early 2000s are alive and well in Sylvanas' fashion. That's all I'm trying to say.
They probably have a dedicated person on the team for emails relating to Sylvanas closed, like because that's been a topic over the last 2 decades.
I thought it was Jaina.
No, that's the Hearthstone team.
That's just Hearthstone, yeah.
Oh, this Hearthstone specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Over on WoW, they had to start a new branch for Alex Drowza close. There's some very angry people, and I don't know why. The new armor is lit.
I agree. So I actually kind of want your thoughts on the signature cards, Garrett, being a graphic person. Like, how do you feel about like how they fit in with the rest of the sets? Like, do you like them more, less than anything that we have available? Like regular cards, diamonds, golds. What are your thoughts?
I think I kind of already gave my hand. Like, I really am not a fan of the color wash because I think Hearthstone's such a wonderfully colorful game, and color plays such a huge part into the look of Hearthstone and Hearthstone looking like Hearthstone. But beyond that, I don't. It just comes down to the to the color wash for me. I think it just takes a lot away from the pop of the illustration.
Should they be animated?
You know, I hadn't thought about it until just now.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to curveball you.
Here's what happens. Here's what happens when you don't make weekly content. You just play the game when you want to play it, and you only look things up when you're interested to know the answer. You don't feel the need to know what everyone else's opinion is, and it's a pretty peaceful place to live.
Let me tell you,
it's a pretty peaceful existence, I must say. So it hadn't even crossed my mind, but now that you mention it, maybe they should be animated. Maybe they should. Maybe baby steps. Okay,
yeah.
we're gonna eventually have diamond signatures.
Yeah,
and those will be
super
animated.
ultra mega. They'll get out of your card and start dancing or something.
Well, then the color wash might make a little more sense. You can give them like the semi-translucent diamond like gem look, and then we're getting very busy in my mind, and I actually don't even like the own thing that I'm describing right now. Please don't do that.
Meanwhile, I'm like, minions made of diamond? Yes, please.
To the surprise of no one.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll do glitter cards.
Glitter legendaries.
Yeah.
Let's do some glitter legendaries.
Yes. It's gold, diamond, signature, glitter above that.
I would spend so much more money than I already do. So please, Blizzard, never, ever, ever do that.
Yeah. But other than that, I think they look good on the board. I've always wanted full art cards, and I like seeing the full art. I think they did a good job getting the text and the name onto the card, because it's always a thing in my mind. As someone who's actually like done board games before and done the actual design of card frames. That stuff's always got to be legible, and it's got to read well. And anytime you put text over anything other than like a solid color, so many things can go wrong. And I think they did a really good job with them. Like overall, I think they look real spiffy. I would have loved for them to be full color though.
I think that's fair.
Also, they kept triggering me because they kept calling it sepia, and sepia is very specifically like a brown earth tone color. Like sepia infers a color, and it's not blue. But
what would you call that?
It's a color wash.
Oh, okay.
It's just a color wash. Like sepia is something very specific, but that's dumb and not that important. But I just wanted you to know that I get real hung up sometimes on things that are dumb and unimportant.
Okay, fair. So speaking of signature cards, there was an issue on launch with card packs. Packs had to be disabled, standard packs and class packs. And so standard packs were not the March of the Lich King packs. They were packs that were awarded from other means that just give you cards that are standard legal, right? At your frowning.
They're red ones.
The red ones.
Ones,
Okay.
Yes. You get them from Tavern Brawls. You can buy them. There have been bundles.
Oh, you can buy them.
Packs.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't think I'd ever seen them in my shop, but the shop is also sometimes dynamic now too. So who knows? Anyways, they're the ones that have standard legal cards, not from one specific expansion, which I did also find confusing because I figured when they said standard packs, they meant like standard March of the Lich King packs, like the regular ones, the normal ones, the standard ones, but they didn't. They meant standard, the red ones. The standard and class packs were awarding more signature cards than they were supposed to. But that's now been fixed. So, yeah, they were, I've seen quite a lot of screenshots. I myself ended up with a legendary and a signature card in the same pack because I went in and opened my packs as soon as it became available. And I definitely posted right away after I opened my special packs and my DK class packs. And I was like, I don't think this is working as intended, guys. I know I have horseshoes up my butt, but this seems like too much even for a horseshoe butt.
That isn't how I remember our conversation going, and I feel like I would have remembered if it did.
Well, I definitely didn't talk about horseshoe butt.
That's the part that I'm actually,
You've mentioned it on the show before.
But yeah, it's there was definitely some faulty bad luck protection, bank error in your favor.
Yes.
Right? Like that's what was happening here. Bank error in your favor. And so the first standard pack that people opened generally had a signature legendary in it. And it wasn't just the first pack, it was like a consistent issue. So they disabled the packs, standard and class packs. They turned them off from being opened. If you tried to open them, the game would crash. And then they would go back in your collection. So you didn't lose anything, but you didn't get to open it, and it was not a great experience. For about 75 minutes after the set launched, they disabled standard packs being purchased from the store. Shortly after that, as soon as they could, and they had a little pop-up warning like about halfway through the downtime, and they had everything back up about 6 hours later. So they were able to get them back on the same day, but the in-between period was, at best, I would call messy. The client experience was pretty poor that opening time. People just, they weren't sure if their packs were crashing or what was going on there, couldn't open them at all.
Well, yeah, because if you weren't like right on top of like Reddit and or Twitter, you know, then it was, and I obviously Deck Tech also posted the known issues post and everything else. Like it was out on the internet, but it wasn't in the client, like you say, until about halfway through the downtime. So there were a few hours there where things were just very confusing unless you were really on top of the news, which I didn't read any news when I just went in and went, yay, PAX time, let's go. So yeah, I was also not on top, which, you know, if anyone should be on top of the internet things, it's probably me slash us, or me and Hat anyways.
I mean, it was a busy time, but also I do not put the burden on the users for going outside of the thing they're doing to figure out what's going on with the thing they're doing.
Mhm.
And this is also at the same time where if you opened the Lich King prologue, which the game prompted you to do and specifically wanted you to do and gated the new class behind, then also you started in the middle of it, and when you beat the final boss, it crashed the game.
Yeah.
So it was a messy client experience that I don't think pictured the brand in the best light for that period. It was relatively, it was over relatively quickly, but you know, you look at the combination of things going on here, it's a little rocky, it's a little messy.
These
Not quite
things
what you want
happen.
from a launch day.
It just happened
does.
in WoW
Yeah.
not that long ago, and I'm still getting
It's-
disconnected when I land on random ass rocks on my dragon. So I'm just kind of used to it. I still have a queue every time I log into Final Fantasy. Like, shit's sketchy, you know. It's just games. It's games in 2022. Everybody, the future is now, and it's buggy.
This is not the biggest card game pack related issue on a mobile game in the last 7 days. Marvel Snap had this beat the immediate week prior with packs that had either nothing in them or useless things. That was a
Can
week
you imagine
prior.
if people
Only
actually
this
got to open their packs, but then they were just empty?
Open up your
It's-
birthday present. It's a box of fucking nothing.
I think that would have been worse, even though there are a lot of memes going around like, oh, Blizzard moves quickly when they fix bugs affect their pricing. Yes, of course they do. What do you expect a business to do? Keep handing out the $100 bills? Of course they fix the
What do
pricing
you
error.
do? I bet you still jiggle your toilet handle because eventually it works. But if your house is burning down, you'd probably get some water right away.
Yeah. You either keep bleeding out for your quarterly earnings report, or you pay a little bit of social goodwill with something that was unexpected and you turn off the issue. You fix the pricing problem. So I do not think it is deserving of commentary that Blizzard fixed their core business. I think that's probably pretty understandable. But yeah, it's, you know, it was unfortunate, and I think anyone that played during that time is justifiable. Being upset was justifiable. I understand some people. This happened around a year ago. Remember Dustgate?
I was
When
gonna
they
say, I
accidentally gave us
feel
too
like
much
this
dust.
happens often.
Well, like once a year-ish, which is still like more than you want to happen. Because they have once again done the thing where they gave some people a bunch of extra money and now everybody's mad at them for it, which is not ideal as a business where you lose money and also people are mad.
Yeah.
Because people that didn't get all these free signature legendaries are like, what? I missed out. Compensate me for not exploiting a bug.
At least they didn't punish people and like saying this is somebody who benefited from those DK packs having things in them they weren't supposed to. You know,
but what
like,
about my FOMO? How are you going to pay me back for the extreme FOMO I am now feeling?
Well, I mean, yeah, like they maybe could have done something along the lines of like, hey, everybody gets some dust or some gold or some stuff. Like there's things, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine. But I also feel bad being someone who benefited, being like, calm down, everybody, it's fine. But to be fair, I had the same reaction when I was on the other side of Dustgate, so
Yeah. The situation is poor and bugs are bad. This is not me defending bugs. This is not me saying that anyone should be thrilled about what went down or whatever. Just if you didn't get a bunch of free stuff, just go on living your life. Like that's all there really is to it. They had a messy launch day. There is a reason that I always set my stream for 10 p.m. or later on launch day, because there's just been the first 8 hours is always a little up and down.
yeah, and chat room's also right. It's not exploiting a bug if you just open your packs, and there's no way to know it was a bug because card opening is RNG. And I agree with both of those things. I definitely it felt wrong because it felt like way too lucky. But yeah, anyways, I feel like we're kind of harping on this point a little bit. There are a couple of other bugs that are going around right now, specifically with Anachronos. I feel like there's Anachronos. I don't know why I can't say that minion name. Anyways, it's the paladin dragon that sends things forward 2 turns in time. So when it moves dormant minions, it can get lost in time, or like you can get lost in time, aka causes a disconnect. All you have to do is restart your client and reconnect to the game. They're working on a hotfix for that. And it can also cause a visual bug. And actually we experienced this during theory crafting, where the keywords, the like visuals for the keywords, like taunt or divine shield, like you see the minion and it has taunt and divine shield, but you don't see like the taunt frame or the divine shield. So that's when it comes back.
The way it should,
they're behaving correctly, except for you can't see it in the client. So like if you try to like attack face, then it's like, you can't do that. There's a minion with taunt. And you're like, but there's 5 minions with no taunt. How do I know which one to hit?
They're just leaking ability stealth.
Yeah.
There's going to be a new ability stealth in the future that only disguises the abilities of your cards, but not the actual minion itself.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's those are 2 bugs that they know about to do with that one card. And also Soul Eater Scythe. So that's the new weapon for Demon Hunter that gets rid of 3 minions from your deck and replaces them with bound souls. May fail to function if it starts in your hand and you mulligan it. That's not great. But it only might fail. It's not guaranteed to fail. But yeah, I think right.
The scythe, yeah.
Yeah, scythe.
The way scythe works is if it's in your opening hand and then you mulligan it, it won't work. Because leaving your hand drops the enchantments on the weapon, and dropping the enchantments on the weapon is what ends up making the minions disappear, but you don't get the bound souls. So if you have it in your opening hand, keep it. Don't mulligan it, you'll be fine.
Whether that's the correct play is another thing, but you know, in order to make your deck work, hang on to it.
It's just, you know, it's a temperamental weapon. You know, you just gotta use it right.
You just gotta treat it well. That's all.
Maybe it.
And
if you were just holding it wrong.
So how do you guys feel about these bugs? I'm thinking Soul Eater Scythe specifically because I feel like this is one deck that I've been playing and I feel like it's pretty decent. Are they going to fix this before Worlds? Because it's next weekend. Worlds is coming imminently.
I would imagine it's pretty high priority.
I would hope so.
The known issues list says shortly after expansion release. So I assume that's within the next 9 days.
Fingers crossed.
I would guess that there will be a hotfix this week. I don't know if the patch this week is going to need to be a client patch, like a small one, because they need to fix the prologue. because it is super janky looking to start in the second node and need to restart. But typically that sort of thing is client side, not card behavior, which is server side. They probably need to ship a small client patch, which means it'll probably be end of this week. And I imagine it'll fix probably Soul Eater Scythe and probably the Death Knight Prologue and maybe anything else they need to deal with.
Or
But
you
those are the two
just
that
ask
really
the
stand
players
out.
very nicely. Please don't bring Demon Hunter with Soul Eater Scythe. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
The World's players, they will understand how this works and keep it in hand if they need to, but I do not anticipate that being a problem in the game in a week and a half. And I don't even know, like Demon Hunter, Spellfell Rel Demon Hunter is really fun and really good, but I don't know if it lines up with the meta that I expect to see at Worlds, because there's some other pretty powerful stuff in Standard, and a lot of it has armor or life gain or kill you from hand on turn 6. All of which are pretty good against TH. Kill you from hand on turn 6 actually good against most strategies. It's pretty effective.
Well, do we want to talk about things that we're playing then, since we're kind of starting to tiptoe around decks anyways?
Since the thing I've wanted the most since this game launched hit the game, yes, I would like to. I'd like to do that.
Awesome.
Please and thank you.
All right, so we might as well just start with DKs, because that is why Garrett is here as the resident
if I haven't gone up
Arthas
against it,
fanboy.
I have no experience with anything else.
So how are you feeling with day 1/2 DK?
Wonderful. I was doing my best meaty impression on day 1 and comboing people with Xalatath, and it was really fun. And now I'm a dirty blood player, and my games are taking forever.
Yep. I played mostly Unholy. I did try some blood because of the event. I had quests to play triple blood cards and something else. So I did play blood for a couple games, and I was just like, oh my god, this takes forever.
So you added more health on top of the health that's already more health than you're used to having?
Yes. And it's too much health from both sides. Games go way too long. But yeah, so let's talk about Blood DK though, Garrett. What is your favorite thing about the deck? How is it playing? How is it feeling? What's going on?
It's just really, it's extremely thematic. I think the things about it that make games go forever are also what's extremely cool about it. On top of the fact that it's been belabored, and I heard on some past episodes that this is a bit of a trigger word for you, but it works really well with cards that are already in the meta, like Sire Denathrius.
Yeah, and I will say,
Garrett, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, hold on, I'm not done. Because it also
You're
works
not
really well
Denathrius.
with this other card that I'm not sure if you've heard of it. You might. It's a pretty hipster card. Not a lot of people have played around with it before now, but it also works really well with Prince Renethal.
Rennie and Denny.
yep, going
I see.
all in.
It's a bold move.
I'm down with it. Every time you say Denny, it just makes me think of Denny's. Ugh, gross.
I could go for a super bird right now.
I don't even know what that is.
It is a sourdough turkey sandwich with bacon, cheese, and ketchup.
At BlizzCon, I just walk a little farther to the Jack in the Box and skip the Denny's entirely. But yeah, I mean, from the get-go, when I was when I was looking over the cards and seeing Triple Blood and seeing that, oh, for frickin', I'm sorry, like I really thought the first time I looked at Vampiric Blood, I read the mana cost wrong. Like that's Vampiric Blood it's the sports car on the lot that you can't afford that brings you into the dealership and then you leave with a Corolla. Except you can't afford it because it's too freaking mana. Like it's the flagship of, you're just like, wait, what? I like not dying. I like drawing cards. I like annoying my opponents into submission, and it's not a legendary, so you get to do. You can just have 20 more health on top of your 40 health because you're Renethaling. And oh, by the way, there's rune specific discovers, so you can get even more Vampiric Bloods. Just the idea of just Vampiric Blooding as much as I possibly could was enough to already kind of sell me on Blood. And then for very specific reasons, I ended up watching a lot of Death Knight a lot earlier than you might expect to watch Death Knight. There was a show match. And blood just looked, blood looks so cool out the gate. And so I think I was weirdly the most into blood when reveals happened. Before I actually like got a chance to really dig into Death Knight. I would have thought when I heard that there was going to be 3 runes, I would have thought I would have been like Frost all day, every day, because Frost decays are decays in my head. But the controlling nature, the health gain, freaking patchwork, even though you don't need to full commit because Patrick's only a single blood rune. It just looks freaking cool, and I didn't see that coming because it's like my least favorite discipline in World of Warcraft for Death Knights.
Yeah, it's really fun. I've never actually played a Blood DK, but our tank in WoW for the last few expansions has played Blood DK, and he was talking in Discord today, and because I was saying, oh man, I'm going to be healing, and I need to knock all the rust off on the weekend. We got to run dungeons and stuff, and he was like, don't worry, DKs don't need healing, and I'm like, I understand that reference now because they don't need to heal because they just have a gajillion health and they just keep making more health. You're not supposed to have that many healths.
I can't wait for Hearthstone to realize that they have bone armor in World of Warcraft, and then you're just going to be able to put a lot of armor on top of your health naturally in the class, instead of just with like an Astalor every once in a while. Or Theoing, is it a Nubarek in Druid?
Yep.
Saw that a few times.
Nubricon. Yeah, I just keep thinking Anub, and then
There's still a Nubricon a couple times the past couple of days. So I'm still finding ways to get armor on top of my rapidly accelerating health pool.
I'm sure there will be some implementation of the bone armor, but yeah, I had one of my tunes in Legion was a blood DK. I wanted to do medium keys with my buddies who they all did keys all the time, but they never had a tank, and I was bad, but I was like, I'll tank and you can be good and competent. And so they started me off with Affliction Warlock. Is like, listen, just press these 3 buttons in order and you'll be okay. And then I played more of the game, did Vengeance DH, that was fun, but then I wanted to do a little bit of raid tanking, so I did a blood DK. And it's all just you take damage and then you untake it. Like you heal it all back up. You've got the bone stacks, but it's all about like marking enemies in these blood plagues and healing by dealing damage. And a really, really big emphasis on self-healing. They totally captured it. They really got all 3 specs just right. Even though the rune system is not based on the spec system, it's based on the talent system from Wrath of the Lich King Classic, but I'm not going to go into that here. But there is definitely an opportunity for bone armor. I wonder how they're going to do Death Grip, because it is the most iconic blood DK ability. And it was also a card that the Lich King generated that they really shouldn't put back again. It was 2 mana yoink a minion from your opponent's deck. Gripping is
so iconic. That's what it does. You
But
pull
Blood
an enemy
DK
to
also-
you.
Death Grip's available to all
But Blood
Death
Decay
Knights, sir.
controls the board, right? Like Blood Decay manages combat interaction. So I want Death Grip to somehow, like, maybe you give an enemy minion taunt and other minions lose taunt or something like that, just so I can hit the thing I want to hit. Because that's the vibe, right? Like, it's maybe we do something like that.
I like that a lot. I like that idea.
That's cute. It's not cute enough though. You gotta have it like Scoot. It's gotta get closer. It has to get physically closer.
It's got to move to the middle of the board, right? Like it's got to, because the scooting is a really important thing, but like moving a minion in a different slot in the board doesn't really have much mechanism.
No. Yeah.
Can we talk about Mograine for a minute? How do we feel about this? Because I've had this played against me a few times and I usually win. And I know a lot of people were a little bit worried about this when this was announced, thinking that it would be, potentially too powerful, dealing 3 guaranteed damage to your opponent at the end of every turn. But it doesn't really ramp up that quickly.
It doesn't ramp.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, but
it's like an idle. It's an engine at idle. It just does the same every turn.
Yeah.
It's slow, but so is Blood Death Knight, and it can in a lot of matchups just outlive you, so the 3 damage isn't negligible. It depends on the matchup. Yeah, I don't feel like the games where I play Mograine and I won because of Mograine, and I definitely don't feel like Mograine's helping me much in games where I lose.
Not a reversal of fortune.
Nah.
No.
This card is like, I feel like Blood is capable of actually being pretty proactive. Like, it's Corrupted Ashbringer. Like, you just kind of hit people with that and then ignore the board for a second. And Mograine fits in those games where you're curving out, right? Like, you just do, you like no Muncher Corrupted Ashbringer into Mograine into Soul Stealer, and then you just smack them around, right? Because the damage matters, and Blood is capable of making the damage matter. But in terms of just Mograine and sit back and wait, you can't do that. Listeners, I paused. I sat back. It was
waited.
It was a visual gag.
And crossed his arms.
Yeah.
It was really well done. Yeah, to me, I look at it and I think it's worth a lot more in control versus control matchups where things are likely to go long, things are more likely to go to fatigue. And then suddenly, if you're both fatiguing and one of you is taking 3 more damage than the other, it matters.
But let me tell you, if I could be the Mograine player, or if I could be the Brand Patchwork player, I'm taking double patches every time. Every time. Just want to like grab things from people's hand. Mograine is, there are what, 3 triple blood rune cards? Vampiric Blood, Soul Stealer, and Mograine. I believe that Mograine is the worst one of those, but that's because Vampiric Blood and Soul Stealer are both crazy. We talked about Vamp Blood. Soul Stealer is the 8 mana 5/5 that kills everything and gives you a corpse for all of it, and is also a 5/5. Pretty good card.
Yeah. And then Patchwork is only a single blood rune, but feels like a triple to me. It's like Patchwork is like the most disruptive bastard I've seen in Hearthstone. Maybe probably Theo actually is probably the most disruptive bastard, but Patchwork just I've never hovered over the left side of my Hearthstone board so much.
Yeah, because it doesn't show you what happens. You have to go to the history.
The one in hand, the animation, I believe, doesn't work right now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you have to look at the history because it doesn't show whatever gets eaten out of the hand.
I got so confused because my Patchwork ate my opponent's Patchwork, and I was like, wait a minute. What's going on? Why is Patchwork saying Patchwork? Oh, it was his Patchwork. Haha, sucker.
Which day one I had a lot of that. Day one was fun. I got to live like pretend I was in the Death Knight show match myself because I just ended up in so many DK versus DK matchups.
There were a lot of DKs yesterday, but I found there were a lot of people targeting DKs because I played it in an Unholy deck and then came up against Shamans with Snowfall Guardians and Druids with Scale of Onyxia, and I just cried because they just wouldn't let me do the thing I wanted to do.
Yeah, right now I'm down on Unholy. Unholy's my least favorite out the gate.
I thought it was going to be, and then we played it in theory crafting, and it was so fun. And I do love the idea of like just throwing a whole bunch of little things on the board, having them explode, and then getting a reward for that.
Yeah.
And being able to throw down, like 8/8s on turn 5. That feels pretty good.
It does. You're just so like, I love everything about it, especially the play style, and I have not changed in my time away from Angry Chicken. I still love board-based strategies. It makes me happy. But Unholy seems so all in on it's board or bust.
It is 100%.
A lot of classes have ways to bust your board right now. So I just kind of feel like I'm being disciplined constantly when I'm playing Unholy. So I've been sticking to Blood and Frost.
Yeah, I haven't seen an Unholy list that looks like it's performing. And when I have played it, there are a lot of things right now that make me not want to just do like board and go and board and go and board and go. It doesn't have the damage that you really need. It's not quite fast enough to keep up with a lot of the off-board decks. And Frostworm's Fury is a problem because you build this wonderful board and then it sits there chilling because it's frozen. and then you're dead.
Get out.
And then you're dead now.
How many turns? What's the longest amount of time? How many Frostworm's Furies have you seen played against you yet? Do you have a personal worst, I guess?
Joss has stories of the original, the OG prototype for Frostworm's Fury. Because Joss, you were playing Unholy and you lost to a different blue card.
I lost to a different blue card. Oh yeah, the Snowfall Guardian. Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
Remember him?
I wish I didn't. And they seem to have ways to cheat him out now. I haven't really paid much attention to Shaman, but then somebody played a 2-mana Snowfall Guardian, and I was like, that is just unfair and cheating, and I hate it, and I don't like it, and stop.
Hey, at least you weren't taking 5 to face when the whole board got frozen.
I mean,
and a
I guess
5/5
there's
developed.
that.
It could be worse.
I
It could be
guess
worse.
so.
And then you might have gotten pinged because they may have had Xalatath already equipped.
Yeah.
So just, little victories.
Little victories.
It sounds like you still died, so I don't think it really mattered. But
Oh yeah, no, I got like 4 wins with my Unholy DK, and then all of a sudden ran into these shamans and these druids that like fully countered me, and I was like, what is happening right now? I just need my 5th win for my card back. Let's go.
Over my morning coffee this morning, I watched a Clark Hellscream video where he said this deck is broken and you will cast so many Frostworm Furies it's not even funny. And I immediately, while watching that video, drinking my coffee and piloting the deck that he was highlighting, played 5 Frostworm's Furies in the same game. And I was like, hey, truth in advertising on a YouTube video? No way.
5?
5. I got 5.
There we go. Okay. I was like, is there the whole deck here somewhere? Okay.
Yeah, I think I discovered 2. I got my 2 actual ones, and then I got one off. Was it a school teacher? No, that can't happen. That's not 3 mana.
Probably a Frost Strike.
That's probably it.
Death
And
Whisper.
Celestalon is in chat saying Lady Death Whisper, because I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
yes,
this deck
yes.
is
That was-
Celestalon's. I'm pretty sure.
So this is
Yeah, but
so.
he gave it to Clark.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't do research anymore, y'all. I don't have to.
This is not public information. He gave me the same deck list. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, so you're outing him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's right there. He knew this was coming. He knew it.
Okay.
Listen, it's a fun deck.
Pretty close.
Queen
he
of
says.
Jara.
Pretty
Cool card.
close. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Chad. I love this deck. I have since switched to blood because I keep going up against blood, and I just don't like it. I don't like it. It's not fun.
So have we been playing have we been playing Frost decks? Because that's mostly what I've been doing when I play DK. Is I've been frosting. Like I actually enjoyed non-Renathal blood a decent amount, triple blood. Like it's because you get to be pretty proactive and you find your stuff before the 40 card decks do. But Frost is everything that I'm looking for. It's
all right.
damage and card draw and mana cheating.
Is
I
there
was
one of
going to
the decks
ask-
on Vicious Syndicate that you're playing specifically? Because there's a lot of Frost decks on Vicious Syndicate.
Yeah.
Death Knight deck building is absolutely bananas.
It is.
Had I been on when this was announced, I would have been. I positively freaked when I saw that they were doing like a 3 rune system and you could mix and match, but it limited your deck building. It's pun very much intended. Sorry to take the wind out of your sales hat. It is so cool.
You're not sorry.
And he loves it, by the way.
I do. I think, what am I playing? I think I'm playing the Triple F. It's actually not one of the Vicious Syndicate lists. The list that I found, I tried them all.
Scandalo.
I streamed for 6.5 hours yesterday. And I played with most of them. They got their time, but I went on HSR and found a Frost list that was performing well, and it does have Denny in it. But the best performing one is kind of it's a little bit more minion centric, and it does have Marrow Manipulator, which is a card that I wasn't as sure about. That's the 6-mana 5/5. Spend up to 5 corpses and shoot 2 damage missiles for each. I didn't think that we would be able to find a Frostless that had enough corpses. And this one, like, it toes the line a little bit. It doesn't always, but it gets there enough that you're able to do a good bit of damage. But it's not quite as spell heavy as the other ones. The super spell heavy lists, you often end up with hands that just kind of don't do anything. You're over capped on card draw, and you can draw more cards, but you can't really do anything. This list seems to have a much better density of proactive plays, which is really what I'm looking for. So I've enjoyed this so far. I wish I could fit in more 1-drops. I wish I could play Body Bagger, but so far this list has been the best one for me, and it is currently with a lot, large statistical warning really early on, blah, blah, blah. It is the current highest performer in HSR, though that's not by a lot.
Well, and I think that there's a bit of a conversation to have here before we move away from Death Knight, just around the idea of Death Knight win rate, because it's not great. Like, they are nowhere near day one Demon Hunter. If anyone else like me was worried about that potentially being a thing. If we're looking just, again, very early on, not a lot of stats, but if we just look at straight HS replay meta report, then like you got to scroll a long way before you hit a DK. And spoiler alert, it's blood in like mid to low tier 3 at 47.3% win rate. So yeah, and it could be the we always say like caveat on some of the harder decks to play, and everybody's learning and everything else. There might be a piece of that happening, but and I guess Death Knights also come with deck building as well. Like the triple bloods, triple frost, triple unholies are pretty straightforward, but to find the right combo of those different runes is, potentially decks we haven't seen yet. These are, pure bloods, pure unholies, and pure frosts on these tier lists. So, I mean, it's still a lot of experimenting to do, I'm sure, and a lot of learning happening, but all of that applied to Demon Hunter, and they destroyed our faces. So
there's a lot different, though. The most obvious being that we've lived through Demon Hunter now, and a lot of lessons I would hope have been learned.
Yeah.
But also coming out in the third set of the year makes a big difference.
Well, yeah, the other classes all have a lot to use, like a lot of tools to use to deal with whatever the DK is going to throw at them. So, which, are things that the team had said that they did on purpose versus the Demon Hunter launch because, again, lessons learned. So,
but also in terms of, I was thinking like in terms of like fine tuning the design for Death Knight, because every other class is much more established. But they are as established as they could possibly be in any given standard year. It's cool. It hurts my brain a little bit when I think about it too hard, but it's very neat. And I don't know, because when you look at individual deck lists too, like there's we're looking at HSR. There's plenty of blood decks that are creeping into that 60% win rate territory. I think it's just all the experimentation.
Yeah,
that's kind of dragging them down a bit, because you look at the spread.
Whoever made this 27 win rate deck, you're pulling the whole pool down, guys.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What exactly? Yeah. So and it's
that deck splashes unholy. That's what it is. The unholy's just pulling it back. It's I like the class is popular, and if you look at social media conversation, then people are concerned about the power level of Renathal and Vampiric Blood. And if you look at the win rate of Blood right now, like, I don't know if they have to be concerned. But it's all about it feels powerful and isn't winning a ton, which is what we've seen with really popular stuff in the past. Quest Mage, Ticketus, Warlock, both were under 50% most of the time, and also super popular because people like to play them. And people being happy with what they're playing, even when they're not winning, is usually a really good sign of the design of something. Because it's people want to do what the game is telling them they can do. And it's not about winning, it's about the feeling they have playing the cards. So I'm glad that this is not super broken on launch. It even might have come in a little on the lower side, but we're learning people will play it anyways. It feels powerful even if it isn't. And it just feels like a part of Hearthstone. It just feels like a class that's been here this whole time, and that feels normal to face, and they're doing something new the way every class is doing something new. And Death Knights feel like Death Knight. Part of it is that they got the spec reference to how it feels in WoW so dead on, so well done, that even if you have a teeny bit of pre-existing knowledge, then it gels really well. I'm glad that they didn't try and go too crazy here, because it's not overshadowing everything at all.
Mhm.
But it's also really interesting, I think, if you're just a card game fan, like it reminds me so much of multicolor Magic. Even though the first 2 days, it seems like we're all pretty stoked on triple rune decks. But like you talk about like the kind of the passing interest, right? Like, so if you're even just a passing Warcraft fan, you know, something in Death Knight might stand out to you because it's freaking Death Knight, or maybe you messed around with them and you vaguely know about 3 runes. That's cool. But if you're a card game fan, you're like, oh yeah, I tried Hearthstone years ago. That's the game where like the classes are really locked down, and there's, you know, if there's multiple archetypes, it comes down to the individual cards, not because of how they actually made each class. But here comes a new class that's like, hey, we've got this rune system, there's 3 of them, you can, and then they go up to 3 pips within that rune, and you can only have 3 total in a deck. So if you want to mix and match, you can only do the 2 runes with the 1, and it's just also like it scratched a lot of like card game itches for me that I haven't thought about in a while. Because it was like way back when I was super late to learning Magic, it was big into multicolor formats because Gatecrash had just come out. And so like when I think card games, like I start thinking colors and how to combine those colors like immediately. And so it's like I've just never thought of deck building like this in Hearthstone ever. And I think that part about it's just, you know, there was somebody at one point who said, I think Hearthstone's shown me all it has to show me. And I feel like that person was an asshat.
Hey, I'm a regular hat.
You know, you're a ridiculous hat. I'm clearly not talking about you. You're a specified hat.
It's true.
Yeah, it's I don't know, I'm kind of freaking over the moon with Death Knight right now. I think it's like, yeah, so it's not a runaway like murder machine. Did I want that a little bit? Yes. If I'm being completely honest.
Specifically did. You did, because that is your best Death Knight fantasy.
I think 10% of me wanted that. 90% of me is so glad we don't have another Demon Hunter scenario on our hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm happy about.
Been a disaster.
Yeah, I'm happy that I can play DK day 1 and not feel like I'm taking advantage of something. Plus, I feel like I just like DK and the way they play more so than I liked Demon Hunter, period. And still, like I am actually playing Scythe Demon Hunter right now, which is pretty fun. But like Scythe and no minions and relics doesn't really feel like Demon Hunter. I guess, or at least how I remember Demon Hunter, you know, the last time I played it, which was literally like years ago. Well, actually, that's not true, because I did play the Death Rattle Demon Hunter probably, a year ago or so? I dabble every once in a while.
I remember being on the episode when you came in and were like, hey, so I'm playing Demon Hunter, and we were just like, oh my god, I forgot how to breathe.
And I think I only got like 25 wins on it, and then I just left it.
Barons.
Yeah,
that was almost 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years.
5 expansions.
Yeah, and I haven't really picked it up since, but I've been playing Scythe Demon Hunter just because I thought it was such an interesting concept to just like have a couple minions but then have no minions instead, and you know, like the minions that are in your deck are your kind of late game bombs, and you know, I'm not really winning, but I'm having fun. So, and I feel like it's hard for me to judge. Like I've won some games, but I'm so unfamiliar with Demon Hunter that I'm like, I don't even remember the spells that I've put in my Jace. So I'm just like, maybe I play this now. I did fell things, right? Turns out no, and he does nothing. Or like he draws me a bunch of cards and I'm like, no, I wanted to hit him in the face. Anytime Demon Hunters play Jace against me, they get all this damage. Why is my Jace broken? Because I'm dumb.
I felt so smug going into Demon Hunter yesterday. I'm like, I have watched so much Death Knight. I've watched so much Death Knight. I've even played some Death Knight. I'm ready for this. I have miscounted corpses so many times and made so many just horrible misplays. Please don't judge me.
Yeah, no, I've been I've been piloting Scythe Demon Hunter, but I wouldn't say I've been playing it really.
It plays you, especially if you mulligan your Scythe.
Yeah.
You're doing the spell fell rel, right? Like spells, fell, and relics.
Ugh. Yes.
It's not a joke. It's just what it is. It's
the
spell, fell, rel. It's what it does.
It's definitely a Vicious Syndicate. This is where I come on day one, because Vicious Syndicate has a gajillion decks every expansion, and I don't know if I'm praising Hat right now or somebody else. I don't care. Vicious Syndicate is the place to go.
There's a good deck list you found. It is super not me. I can tell you that for sure. If you found a deck list, you're like, this is clever and well made. Somebody else did that.
I'm paralyzed by indecision just looking at this.
40 decks.
40 decks? What? Oh, they have 40 decks. Yes, there are 40 decks to choose from, which is a lot of decks, you guys. And so, I mean, I feel like there's always something to play on that list somewhere for me. And so, yeah, this is the list that I've been playing, the Demon Hunter list, and it's been really fun. Like, whether I'm doing it right or not, except I was so confused for the longest time because it has Kurtrus, the hero card, in it. And I kept looking at the list going, there's 4 minions, because it has the Arcanist and then Zymox and Jace. And I was like, this isn't right. It's not going to eat the same thing every time. And then I was like, wait, this is a hero card, Jocelyn. You're really dumb. I kept thinking it was the other one. Yeah.
A lot has changed in the last 48 hours.
Oh, so much.
The Kurtrus is also really great. So Kurtrus, remember, he refreshes when you attack with a minion, and you've got Faldore Warband, which gives you 4 little rushy boys. And so you play Kurtrus, and then you play Warband and rush and hero power and rush and hero power and rush and hero power and rush and hero power, and then you attack for 10, and that's a lot.
Oh yeah, I understand, and it's fine. But at the same time, I feel like, I guess, like, so Faldore Warband, I don't know if it's new or if it's old or whatever, because Demon Hunter.
It's new.
Okay. But I feel like even if I'm using a new card, I'm still doing the same, like, Kurtrus thing that I hate, which is exactly that, is attack and then hero power, attack, hero power, and then swing for way more than you're supposed to be able to. So, like, I've been doing that, but I've been feeling bad about it. Because I'm like, it feels like when you play something like that on day one, it always feels like you're trying to take away other people's fun. Like, other people are trying to try new cool things, and you're just doing the same old thing you've always done, like ramp druids and, freezing shamans. And I'm just like, stop it. Let me have my fun. And now I'm also making someone else not have fun.
Well, if you're personally guilty because you've yelled at people, that's on you. But I was going to defend you and say, listen, we all opt in to the same social pact when we queue in to Hearthstone Ladder on day one of a new expansion. We know that's a possibility. We know it's a possibility. One person's fun may be my foil. What are you gonna do? It's fine. It's fine. Live your best life, Jocelyn. Live your best Demon Hunter life as you eat all the possible Hearthstone crow you possibly could. The class you've come after the most, doing the thing on day one that you have also decried more than once. And I'm pretty sure it's recorded. And available.
In many places.
Yeah. For everyone to listen and refer back to.
Yeah.
If they ever want to hold you accountable.
Well, I mean, speaking of things that everyone is doing and I am also doing and is not a new thing, is I'm playing Wildheart Guff on 5.
Good card. Good card, solid.
Yeah, very, very solid card. But I'm playing it to do something that is I've played the most Druid out of anything in the last couple of days because I cannot get over how fun Quest Anubricon Druid is. And being able to play the quest reward 3, 4, 5 times and like hit with your hero for 48 is amazing. It's so much fun.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to be a polite guest. But did you not just complain about the length of Blood Death Knight games?
Well, yeah. No, but this is like not a super long, super rampy thing. This is a combo deck. So like I draw as fast as possible. I only need 8 mana, so I'm not doing crazy big rampy druid things. I just want to draw and pull everything. I'm using things like Pounce to try to get my quest done quickly. And all I want to do is get to 8 so I can play a Nubricon, and then you play a Nubricon, and then Bran, and then your quest reward, and then you copy your quest reward with oh, what's her name? Zola, yeah. And then you go quest reward, and it's just so much damage, and you have so much health, and it's so great.
So, you know when you're playing Blood DK, and you play Mograine, and you're like, all right, in a good spot. Imagine if instead of doing 3, Mograine dealt 32. And so now you can visualize how the games are a little shorter. Because it does more.
Yes, it definitely does. And then you also have the spiked shell mark of the spike shell that you can use to copy your guff and have even more guffs. So yeah, it's guffs everywhere, and it's glorious.
What's your name?
I believe that is Spark of the Mike Shell.
I was setting you up for a my name is Guff, but sure.
Oh.
I just
sorry.
like that when you there's something that just tickles me, that when you swing with Guff and you're doing 48 damage, he goes high five. I just love it so much.
This is the person who is mad that they got rid of the sorry emote because you quote used it as intended.
I did. But
And
also,
now,
I like high-fiving people with 48 damage to the face.
now you're an evil himbo cowman. Just dumpstering people.
It just feels
She's not
so
sorry
good.
anymore. They took the emote out of the game, and then she stopped being sorry.
Oh, it just made me so happy. So yeah, I've been playing this Quest Anubricon Druid from Vicious Syndicate, and absolutely freaking loving it. So it just feels different than a lot of the stuff that Druid has been trying to do. Like, I'm not ramping, I'm not playing like big stuff. Like, I have one big turn, and I've been countered so hard by mages and their alibis. I'm like, you just want to take 1 damage, but I want to do so many more than that. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It has a counter. You can disrupt it, and yeah. So
Just the Howling Blast towards Guff, everybody.
Yeah.
Howling Blast towards Guff. Freeze that cow.
yep.
Nobody wants frozen beef except Death Knights.
So Hat, what about you? I'm kind of like leaving you to the end because I feel like you played everything, you did everything. What are your highlights? Or we're going to be here for another.
Is he only allowed to mention like 3 decks? Does he have a limit?
Oh no, we never limit Hat. That's a mistake.
Okay.
So, I didn't actually post this yet. Where is this website? So I think I've given this spiel before, but I'm gonna do it again. There's this website from my buddy Donkey, donkey.top, great website, and it ties directly in with your stream, so you can log like what you've played, people's new stats, they can get the deck list or whatever. And so whenever people want to know what I played, I just say, "Oh, go look at my Donkey page." And something about that phrase always just makes me feel
wrong.
a little uncomfortable.
It should. That is the correct feeling to have. Because I do not feel comforted listening to you say that phrase.
I'm gonna click
update
on
the
this
show
Hat,
title
and you
to,
better not get me TOS'd off of Twitch with your Donkey page.
It's safe for work, but you're off the clock, so
It's even worse because I just glanced at it a second. It said Donkey Streamer, and I'm just like, where did I end up?
So what you have here, this actually, it covers theory crafting too, but it shows how many is this? 25 decks I played yesterday. Yeah, it's a bunch.
That's a lot.
Not a ton of games in each, but I tried 25 games. So yeah,
Losing record with the NSFW rogue.
So with that particular list,
I do want to talk about this because I feel like we thought this was going to be problematic, but I think I've beat all the ones I faced, so I don't feel as bad about it now, but it felt OP for sure in theory crafting.
Oh, it is. It is.
Okay.
It's really, really hard to play, but it is really, really, really strong. There are some cards that I think are maybe just they don't function the way I expected them to. Putricide, it doesn't just trigger unfriendly minions.
Yes.
Ghoulish Alchemist, the 2-mana 3/2. Battlecry, your next concoction costs 0. This does not say this turn.
Right.
You just play it and chill. And then you just have your concoctions, they don't cost anything. So I have seen people tempo this out on turn 2 and then turn 3 just do all the things. And it feels like it should be a little different from how it is. But either way, if I had to pick...
Does this deck not have what's his face in it? Putricide?
I don't know, but that list is bad.
Okay.
Oh wait, that was the Garrett list. That was a Garrett list that I tried. That was bad. That was a bad deck.
Okay.
It was fun, but it was bad. The best one that I found, I'll post this in the chat here. No, not Thief. It is just there's one with Astalor. I didn't play it on stream.
There we go.
Yep. So this one, it's super low curve. And yeah, it's you just kind of kill people. You make big Drakas and big stealthy minions on turn 3-ish or turn 4-ish if you want to. It's surprisingly powerful.
Isn't that what Rogue was doing before?
It just got better at it.
When I against one of these, it uses the location, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had
location and Draka.
On one turn, my opponent made 2 11/11 stealths because they had 2 locations deployed and they just went off. But I also had like 3 Frostworm Furies in hands, and 2 of them were drastically discounted, so I just froze the stealthies.
Yeah.
But
it's there are ways to beat it, but when it pops off, it feels really, really strong. And it is what Rogue was doing already, it just got more consistent.
Yeah, I was utterly terrified the first time I saw it. I was like, what the shit? Like,
so the decks that I think stand out from a power level, if I look at the stats especially, I would say Concoction Rogue, Shock Spitter Hunter, and
I've been
Raptor
destroyed by that Hunter deck more than once.
It does a crazy amount of damage per man. Shock Spitter is the 2-mana 2/2 for each time you've attacked. So it does base 1 damage. Each time your hero has attacked, it does 1 more. And it's 2-drop. So there are decks with Selective Breeder going around where you just go and get a bunch of Shock Spitters or whatever. And then you attack like you have Candle Shots, you have Harpoon Guns, and then Devouring Swarm, the 0-mana spell that makes all of your minions attack, and any that die get added back to your hand. So you do like Spitter Swarm. And then you're dealing like you're pyroblasting on turn 5, and then you get them back. And then you brand with these on 7, and they're just dead out of nowhere. I have died on turn 6, turn 7 pretty regularly. The Robot Wizard, who was really, really good at Combo Rogue last season, got rank 1 Legend with this yesterday with a Shock Spitter build that has nothing that costs more than 4, and just killing people pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's overpowered, but I know that it sure feels like it is when I die to it.
Yeah. Well, and so the thing that I've noticed that they always seem to have on one is Candle Shot, which is, not new.
Yeah.
This is a Kobold's card, right? But I guess it's now in core. So they get their kind of 3 attacks off, and then all of a sudden in turn 3, these stupid Shock Spitters are dealing 4 damage already, and they just keep, like, I've seen ones, I don't know if it's actually in this, so they have a Zola in this list that I'm showing right now, but I've even seen Brewmasters throwing them back into hand. Like, they will do anything to just keep the shock spitters coming. It's crazy. And so all of them, again, like, it's improved by hero attacks this game, so there is no requirement to like have it in your hand or have it in your deck, or like if you discover it you have to start building it up. Like, no, if you discover this thing and you've attacked 10 times, then your discovered copy will do 11 damage. Like, it's so good. It's just like a persistent buff aura type effect. On this card.
The list you're looking at has Youthful Brewmaster in it.
Oh, does it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Brewmasters, man. Brewmasters.
Whenever that is the canary in the coal mine. Whenever you see Brewmaster, you're like, oh no, something's gone wrong and it's deeply fucked up.
Brewmaster, no! What's happening?
You never see him in a deck that's trying to do something fair. Whenever you see him, it's like, what evil thing is going to happen to me when I get Brewmastered? Yeah.
Well, turns out you're gonna get spit on.
Yes, I don't. Maybe they, because I didn't see the shock spitter come out, but I've gone up against multiple hunters now. They're getting the candle shot out early, but they're running the Keen Eye Spotter, which just makes
that can be in there too.
Early board extremely obnoxious.
Yeah, they just kill your thing and don't take any damage. Like, yeah, it's pretty good,
regardless of how much health your thing has.
Yep.
Well, I know exactly how much health it has. It has one. It has 1 health.
I reject your stats and substitute my own.
Like, actually, though, that's what Keen Eye Spotter kind of does. And then Ramp Druid, of course. Ramp Druid is #1 in the list right now. Now, I'm not super surprised by this because people don't play a lot of aggro right now, especially not with Blood Decay being the most popular thing. It does not feel great to play aggro. And also, Ramp Druid got a bunch of new good cards. So they gain armor, and they sometimes do what Joce is doing to people and deal 32-ish from hand, or a lot, or whatever. And you don't even have to do the quest thing.
Yeah, this does
they
have
kill
a new
my
Berkan
Mograine
too.
with 2 1s, and it makes me feel not happy things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like sometimes you'll just do, okay, I'll just play Crypt Keeper or a Nubercon, throw out a Crypt Keeper or 2. And then just like Astalor and play a 5/5 and an 8/8 that shoots a bunch of missiles. And you don't even need to win the game because it's over. It's just going to take a couple turns. But like I played against an aggro demon hunter where I just did ramp. Like they played a Trogon 1. I left it in play. Wild Growth, Guff, Seedsman, Hero Power, a Nubercon, Astalor, go. And they lost because all their stuff died and then they died. But it wasn't immediate. It took they had to watch it happen and stay there. They could have left, but they didn't.
Drew got a free win out of me right before the show because that game was not going to end anytime soon. I was just like, I got to go do a podcast. Enjoy the win, Mr. Guff.
Yeah, I had this feeling. I drew a Nubercon in the turn. I hit 10 mana, and I reached to snap, and that's a different video game. But I'm like,
I like to think that you had snap open on like in your hand, and you snapped in your snap game because of how well your Hearthstone game was going. So you're like that now what feels like ancient Scandal where the player was playing both Hearthstone and auto chess at the same time. But you're just your own personal Scandal that only you know about.
No, see, I cleared my snap deals while I was playing Paladin. The Druid deck is too hard to play.
Okay, let's talk about Paladin because we haven't actually talked about Paladin yet. There's a few classes we haven't really touched on, but I feel like Paladin is the one that like we kind of thought would be pretty good, although I thought maybe Dragon Paladin was going to do some stuff, and I'm scrolling. There it is. Bottom of tier 3, 46.7%.
It's hanging out with the Blood Death
Yeah,
Knight.
it's hanging out with the Blood Death Knight, but there's a Control Paladin list that seems to be doing pretty well. Anybody touch this one yet?
I have only played Death Knight.
Well,
I'm here to talk Death Knight. I was told there'd be Death Knight.
We did talk Death Knight for like half an hour.
So
we've been requested to talk about corpses by one Chad D. Celestalon.
I'm sure we will talk about corpses at some point, but So like there are classes that are doing wacky lethal stuff. There's Death Knight, and then the other classes are just kind of biding their time, waiting for people to come back. Right? It's the classes that can kill you from hand: Rogue, Druid, Hunter, and to an extent DH. Those are seeing a bunch more play, right? Because they're doing a new thing that the last format didn't have, which is kill you from hand with something not named Sire Denathrius. So people are experimenting with that because it's novel, and they're experimenting with Death Knight 'cause it's a new class. Everything else, like, I don't know how much of this stuff is bad. Because if you look at the decks, if you look at the classes that are winning, if you want to go play Naga Priest right now, you will probably win a bunch of games. But I haven't seen a single Boon of the Ascendant. If you go play Spooky Mage, you'll probably be fine. Right? If you play Renethal Control Shaman, if you want to, probably be okay. But they're not quite as exciting.
I saw an Imp Warlock, actually. Did not win.
Yeah.
The Imp Warlock didn't win. I just kept freezing the board with Frostworm Furies. There's a theme in how my gameplay has gone. Yeah.
Yes. The Paladin stuff, like, I'm curious about the aggro Paladins, but I think it doesn't quite line up with what the format's about. It doesn't have enough draw. That's my biggest issue with it. And the control Paladins and Dragon Paladins, whatever, they seem interesting. They seem all right. The win rate's pretty decent, all things considered. I lost to one as a Blood DK because I did brand patchwork after they had Jailered, and they had 3 minions in hand, and one of them was Kazakhstan, and I know that only one was Kazakhstan because I killed the other 2, and then I lost. But it's a grindy Renethal mid-range pile. I was playing Blood DK. It was fine. It's like I was hoping for a reason to switch decks, and I got it. It was a 16-16 Kazakhstan. Yeah, they played Lorthamar because that deck was greedy. So I don't envision this being quite as exciting right now because it isn't flashy. It's cool, but it isn't flashy. And so we're a day and a half in. It's going to take a little longer for people to explore this stuff. But just because unpopular doesn't mean that I think it's necessarily bad. It just doesn't quite line up with the flashy, crazy things that people want to do on day one. At least not that I've seen.
Okay, so we have Worlds in 9 days. What do you predict we're going to see there? I know it's day 2 and things are crazy, but what do you think we're going to see in 10 days or 9 days at Worlds? Is it going to be DKs everywhere?
I think it's going to be not as many DKs as we may have thought. But it's also so freaking early to tell. Like, the oven is just dinging preheated. We haven't even started cooking yet.
I feel like we're going to see some interesting, like, mixed rune builds, like some 2-in-1s. I don't know which ones they're going to be. Maybe some Frost Unholy or something. Because Hat, like you were saying, Frost seemed to have a lot of draw, but not necessarily doing much. So maybe there's something with like a little bit of Frost draw, but mostly Frost damage that then does some early game Unholy type board floody things. Maybe that's something that we see. But yeah, I think that we'll probably see some mixes. I don't know if, like, mostly because I just assume the people going to Worlds are going to be absolutely insane, out of the box thinking deck builders. And so, like, if everyone on ladder is doing triple builds, that's not what we're going to see at Worlds. We're going to see something more powerful that none of us on ladder have figured out yet. But they're keeping close to the vest too, right?
Yeah, and your age old, like, there's also a difference between ladder decks and tournament decks, kind of thing too, to keep in mind. But I'm a really strong believer in Triple Frost. I think Triple Frost is going to be present. I think Triple Frost is somewhat sorted already, and is just capable of so much freaking damage, and it can damage while stalling. On top of that,
So I expect most lineups will have Blessed Priest and Rogue.
I thought you were just going to say, I expect most lineups. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I expect them. I know what's coming.
Yeah. Garrett, I think you're right.
I think they will come prepared. They will have deck lists.
Yeah, so Hat, sorry,
Yeah.
you were saying you expect deck list to...
There should be, so I expect a lot of rogues and a lot of blessed priests. Those two, I think, are going to be the two decks that you base your strategy around. Do I try and beat these, or do I try and play these and something else that goes with them? If I'm going with those, like the good stuff lineup is Druid, Priest, Rogue. What's the fourth deck?
Hunter?
Could be Hunter. It could be Hunter. Let's see. Yeah, like I don't think we're gonna get too many Rennie Denny piles just because they're not fast enough. And Theatar costs 6 now. Like he's so bad. He's so not good. Like
Yay!
really not good. So if you're building to beat those two things, I think Rogue will be the most banned by a lot. And then people are gonna try and find ways to beat Boon Priest. And if you're trying to beat Boon Priest, I would not be surprised to see Blood DK because they have access to Asphyxiate and Soul Stealer. And so it's just about playing as much damage agnostic removal as possible. Just how do I kill minions without caring how big they are? You have to ban Rogue because they have Draka. And that's not a minion, that's a big ass knife. And they just cut you with it. And I don't know about this one, but I'm not sure they've washed it. It seems like an unclean knife.
Oh!
We're still in the knife analogy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they've washed the knife. I feel like it's still definitely dirty.
Really big knives, you might consider just calling it a sword? How big a knife are we talking about here?
This is a pretty big knife.
I got hit by an 11-3 today.
Gross.
It's like, I don't know. Substantial. I think they banned that. I think they banned that thing. And so like you can do Shock Spitter if you want to win from hand. And you can do Druid if you want to win from hand, but slower. But Druid has problems with Priest. So I think the dynamic will revolve around that constellation there. There might be some Renethal decks that deal with it. Like you can try and play Paladin with Equality, and that might be a pretty good call right now. Equality could actually go a long way. Because if you have Cariel and Equality, you're not going to lose to Boon of the Ascended. That's not going to happen. If you play Primordial Wave, you're not going to lose to Boon of the Ascended. So if that's what you're targeting, if you're targeting a Blessed Priest, there's a way to do that. I don't know if Frost DK will fit in this meta, even though I like the deck. I don't know if Spell DH will fit, even though I like the deck, just because the expected meta is going to be a lot of stuff where damage-based removal doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It feels like it's been a while since I've watched, because I guess I didn't watch the last championship. I've watched a lot of Lobby Legends and the BG stuff, but I haven't watched a standard tournament in a while. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I mean, I hope, since it is the new hotness, I hope there are some DKs that kind of make the cut. But I think that you're making a lot of good calls that make a lot of sense in terms of lineups. So obviously there's a lot of money on the line. I think it's $500,000 on the line for this tournament. So people are going to play the best things and bring the best things regardless of what the new hotness is. They're not as weak as we are. So any final thoughts on just the meta, the first couple days of the expansion? Hat, anything you want to leave us with?
I'm having fun. I streamed until 5 a.m. yesterday. Like, I haven't done that.
Yeah, when you said you played for 6 hours, I was like, wait a minute, because Hat did a show with us yesterday over on Gamers Inn to talk about Ragnarok, and I know when we finished that, and I know when you said you were starting your stream, and you're like, yeah, I went for like 6.5 hours. I was like, that is very, very long into the night.
Yeah.
It is.
But you're having fun, so that's good.
Played a lot. It was good. I like this expansion. Yeah.
You're not usually a man of so few words.
I'm distracted because now I'm thinking about what am I going to play next. What am I going to play when the show is over? Because I want to go play more.
This is one of those, for me, great moments in Hearthstone history where they really, really stuck the landing. I'm already in love with this set. I haven't bought both bundles in a long time. I burned a lot of cash.
Well,
in
yeah,
anticipation of
Arthas.
this. Yes, but not the 3D portrait. It's
No.
not really my style.
I
Not really
did.
my
I
style.
got that.
I love the illustrations, man. I love the illustrations in Hearthstone. They're so good. They get fantastic artists. But yeah, this is up there. Like I think of like the great launches in Hearthstone history. I think of like League of Explorers. I think of the other Death Knight related expansion, Knights of the Frozen Throne. This is it for me. I mean, this is the most hyped I've been in a very, very, very long time. Like I think they absolutely crushed it with Death Knight. So I would not get down on the win rates, because I'm certainly not. Like they really hit with the theming, and they added a lot of nuance as well with this new class. I'm over the moon with runes and corpses. How many times have you heard me ramble on about how much I want real graveyard mechanics? Like not priest graveyard mechanics. And this is still it's Hearthstone's own spin, and they didn't just take like a magic graveyard and like put attack in it on the game. Like it's so wholly unique. It's chef's kiss. I'm so stoked with this expansion.
Yeah, I think that's what I've really enjoyed the most about Death Knights, is that because of the corpse mechanic, they do feel different than everyone else. I really like the build up your resource and then spend it kind of mechanic. Like there's nobody else that really has that in Hearthstone. So I think it's been a really good addition to the game that doesn't just feel like Meiji warriors, you know? Like they really did manage to find a nice balance there, and give them some interesting things to do instead of just, you know, being a combination of a couple of other classes. So I think they've done a really good job. And, you know, launch issues aside, I think that Hearthstone's in a really good place. And I mean, I like 5 and 6 set metas anyways. So I'm going to have a lot of fun, and I have been having a lot of fun, other than people who are Scale of Onyxia and Snowfall Gardening me. Just don't do that anymore. I don't like it.
But it's okay if you're like 48 attack.
Yes, because I'm just giving them a high five, and that's okay.
But they might also be guff
how
if
that
they're
works,
doing
huh?
Scale of Onyxia.
No.
That's
Different.
guff on
Different
guff
guff.
time,
Different
Jocelyn. I
guff.
think we need to talk. I think we need to have a talk about how you're treating your fellow
Guffs.
dudes. Yeah.
Just
She's giving them some tough love. You know, guff the tough love.
I believe it's guff love,
Thing.
but
yeah. Some tough guff love.
I like that more. It's
I know, I'm
Guff,
stupid.
guff, luff. It's you spell that with 2 F's. I
Yes,
assume?
obviously.
Okay.
I just want to remind everybody that if you do have some questions for us, you can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter, or you can send us messages over in our Patreon Discord. Patreon Discord, you say? However do I get that? Well, you go to patreon.com/tac and become a patron. That is how you get access to our awesome Discord server, as well as other perks like when Hat and I do Marvel Snap shows. Those go to our patrons too. So go and check it out. Patreon.com/tac.
there's a good game, and that's a good website. Patreon.com/tac. You should go to the website.
It is. And a very big thank you to our Patreon producers, Dustin C. and Jarrett F. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. You can follow us on Twitter @TAC Podcast and catch us live on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/JossPlays. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us to talk all about Death Knights. Where can people find you on the internets now?
I'm all YouTube now, and I'm where I've always been. I'm still on the same YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/amovetv and find all of my grinding gear content. I'm still working through Final Fantasy 14 for the first time. I'm into Shadowbringers now, which I hear some people have extremely positive opinions about. No one has gone out of their way to hype me up on this expansion to levels of which I've never experienced before. At all. But yeah, I stream over there now every Monday and Thursday. Grinding Gear Podcast is available wherever podcasts can be found. Just go to youtube.com/amovetv. Everything's there.
And Hat, where can folks find you?
Find the hub of my content, twitter.com/ridiculoushat, where I've been on 4 podcasts this week. So I'm on 3 Hearthstone podcasts. You're listening to one of them. The other two, Coin Concede, we make the competitive side of the game more accessible to you, and Vicious Syndicate, we take a data-driven look at the high legend metagame. But also, I guessed on this other show, The Gamers In, yesterday, on an episode with a lot of spoilers about a different video game. The episode is titled Pod of War Ragnarok. So I will leave you, listener, to decide which game it was about.
It was God of War.
About God of War. It was God of War.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun having you on. That is my general gaming show. For those of you who don't know, again, it's called The Gamers In. You should all go and check that out if you like me, if you like Hat, and if you've never heard of, but you'll absolutely love my other co-host, Ryan, go and check out The Gamers In, especially if you've played Ragnarok and want to hear us talk about it. You can also find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joce Plays, Joce Plays. That's going to do it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, job's done.
God, whose turn is it?
I figured you would go second and I would go last, which I've never done before. Everything about this feels super weird.
Okay, Garrett, I will not jobs done before you. You have to do it. You have to go now.
Okay.
You can do it. I believe in you.
All right. In that case, saying it second, which I'm also not used to. Job's done.
We'll fix it in post. Job's done. We'll fix it in post. I'll put.
Don't you dare fix that. What's there to fix? That was a beautiful, natural occurrence.
It was clean and well rehearsed.